Luke Carter sat quietly in the sleek white shuttle, watching the distant planet Vexia grow larger through the window. It was his very first diplomatic mission, and his heart beat fast with excitement. His job was clear and simple: meet the aliens who lived on Vexia and build peaceful relations. Everyone at home trusted Luke to do this important task, and he felt proud and a little nervous. The shuttle landed gently, making only a soft hum as it touched the ground. Luke took a deep breath, steadied himself, and stepped onto the strange new world. The air smelled sweet, almost like fresh flowers, and the sky above was bright purple. Tall trees with shining leaves stretched around him, rustling gently in the wind. He smiled, amazed by the beauty he saw. A group of aliens walked toward Luke, their blue and silver robes shimmering in the sunlight. One of them stepped forward, smiling warmly. "Welcome, Luke Carter," she said in perfect English. "My name is Zira. We are very happy you have come." Luke looked at Zira. She was tall and graceful, with skin that shimmered softly in shades of pale green and blue. Her eyes were large and clear, filled with warmth and curiosity. Luke felt comfortable immediately. "Thank you, Zira. I am honored to be here," he replied politely. Zira guided Luke gently toward a waiting vehicle. It was sleek and silent, hovering slightly above the ground. Inside, the seats were soft and comfortable. As they traveled toward the city, Luke watched in wonder. Everything seemed clean and peaceful. The buildings they passed were elegant, built from smooth materials he had never seen before. "Your planet is beautiful," Luke told Zira, smiling at her. She smiled back, nodding gently. "We have worked hard to make it so. It is important for us to live in peace and beauty." They soon reached a large building at the heart of the city. It was wide and welcoming, filled with soft colors and bright lights. Many aliens were inside, all smiling and greeting Luke kindly. They bowed slightly and welcomed him warmly, making him feel special and important. After a tour of the diplomatic center, Zira turned to Luke. "You must be tired after your journey. Please come with me to my home. You can rest, and we can talk more about your world and ours." Luke felt pleased by the invitation. He wanted to learn more about Zira's life and her people. "I would be happy to," he said gratefully as they walked. Through the streets, Luke noticed how quiet and calm everything was. The aliens around them moved smoothly and softly, always polite, always calm. Zira's home was close by, nestled among beautiful trees. Her house was modest but charming, made from materials that shimmered gently inside. Luke was surprised by how cozy and welcoming the home felt. The walls had gentle curves, and soft lights glowed softly from hidden spots. Zira offered Luke a comfortable chair and a cool drink. He took it gratefully and sipped, finding it sweet and refreshing. "Tell me about your home planet," Zira asked, sitting across from Luke with great interest. "What do you enjoy most about Earth?" Luke paused, thinking carefully. "Earth is very different," he started. "We have mountains covered with snow, oceans filled with life, and cities full of people and noise. What I love most is how diverse it is. So many different cultures, languages, and people all living together." Zira listened closely, her eyes wide with wonder. "It sounds wonderful and complex," she said softly. "Here, things are calm, and everyone follows the same traditions. Sometimes I wonder what it might be like to experience such diversity." Luke smiled gently. "Maybe one day you can visit Earth. You would see so much." Zira's eyes sparkled. "I would like that very much," she said softly. "But first, we have many things to learn from each other." Luke nodded. "Yes, and I hope this is just the beginning of a strong friendship between our peoples." Zira smiled again, warm and reassuring. "I believe it will be." Feeling relaxed and comfortable, Luke leaned back in his chair. The tension and worry from his long journey started to fade away. Everything about Zira and her home felt sincere and peaceful. As they talked more, Luke felt lucky. This was the beginning of something special, he thought. He could not wait to learn more about Zira, her people, and their beautiful planet. But as Luke sat there, smiling and enjoying the calm evening. He did not realize just how quickly things were about to change. Luke woke up the next morning feeling refreshed. Sunlight gently filled Zira's home, giving the room a warm and peaceful glow. He sat up and stretched, thinking about how welcoming and kind Zira had been to him when he stepped into the main room. Zira greeted him with a smile. "Good morning, Luke. Did you sleep well?" "Very well," Luke answered, feeling cheerful. "Thank you for your hospitality." "It was my pleasure," Zira replied warmly. She placed some food on the table, inviting him to sit and eat. "I hope you enjoy our simple breakfast." Luke tasted the food. It was delicious, fresh, and sweet. "This is wonderful," he said, genuinely pleased. "Your people truly have a talent for making guests feel welcome." Zira seemed pleased by Luke's praise. After breakfast, "I want to show you more about our life here. We have beautiful gardens, special libraries, and many places that I think you will find interesting." Luke was excited to explore. After finishing breakfast, they walked out into the streets. The air was fresh and cool, with the scent of blooming flowers all around them. Zira led Luke through streets lined with beautiful trees and small, delicate buildings. Each structure looked carefully crafted, as if art itself was woven into every stone and leaf. They arrived at a large garden, filled with plants Luke had never seen before. Brightly colored flowers blossomed everywhere, and delicate streams of water flowed smoothly through the garden. Small animals scurried about peacefully. "This garden is a very special place," Zira explained softly. "Here we grow plants from many worlds. It reminds us of our connections to others." Luke touched the soft purple flower gently. It responded by glowing warmly for a brief moment. Surprised, he laughed lightly. "Your garden is alive in more ways than one," he said, amazed. "Yes," Zira smiled, amused by his reaction. "Everything here lives in harmony. We believe deeply in balance and peace." From the garden, they walked to a beautiful library. Inside, the walls were lined with shelves holding small, glowing devices. Luke picked one up carefully. "These are art books," Zira explained. "Each one contains stories, knowledge, and histories of our people." Luke activated one of the devices, and words appeared floating gently in the air, clear and easy to read. He felt excited and curious. "This is amazing technology," he told Zira. Zira watched him kindly, happy to see his genuine interest. "We value knowledge greatly. It is our belief that understanding brings peace." Luke agreed, fascinated by everything around him. Yet, as he explored the library further, something caught his attention. On a lower shelf in the corner, slightly hidden from view, he noticed a device different from the others. It looked human-made, something familiar yet oddly out of place. Curiosity stirred within Luke, but before he could investigate further, Zira called gently to him. "Come, Luke, there is much more to see," she said warmly. He nodded, placing the odd device carefully back where he had found it. Still, questions lingered in his mind. Why was something from Earth hidden here? Zira took Luke to see more sights around the city. Everywhere they went, the aliens greeted him kindly. They appeared genuine and sincere. Luke felt warmth and trust growing within him, even as he wondered about the strange device he had seen late in the afternoon. Zira suggested they rest by a peaceful fountain in the heart of the city. Luke sat down beside her, feeling comfortable and at ease despite the questions in his mind. The fountain's gentle flow soothed him. "Luke," Zira said softly, looking thoughtful, "do you think our peoples can truly build a lasting friendship?" Luke met her eyes sincerely. "Yes, I do. I see kindness and honesty here. I think we have a lot we can learn from each other." Zira smiled gently. "I believe that too. It means a great deal to me that you feel this way." But as the sun began to set, Luke's thoughts returned to the strange device. He could not shake the feeling that something important was hidden from him. He decided that he needed to know more, but carefully, without causing suspicion or offense. Zira noticed Luke's thoughtful expression. Is something troubling you? She asked with concern. Luke smiled reassuringly. No, everything is fine, he replied gently. Your city is amazing. I am just thinking about how lucky I am to experience all of this. She relaxed, pleased by his response. But deep inside, Luke knew he would soon need answers. Something told him his journey here was more complicated than it first seemed. For now, though, he sat quietly, watching the peaceful city, planning his next move carefully. That evening, Luke and Zira sat outside her home under the soft glow of Vexia's moons. The air was calm, filled with the sound of gentle wind and distant singing birds. Zira offered Luke a warm drink that smelled like mint and berries. They sipped in silence for a moment before Zira began to speak again. Would you like to hear more about our history? She asked kindly. Yes, I would love that, Luke replied. Zira told stories about old Vexian leaders who brought peace to the land, about great builders who designed the beautiful cities, and artists who painted with light and sound. Her voice was smooth and calm, and Luke listened closely. Each story was full of detail, but sometimes something fell off. In one story, Zira said that her people had never left Vexia, but earlier she had spoken about how they brought plants from other worlds. Luke didn't say anything, but he remembered the strange human device he had seen in the library. Now the small differences in her stories made him think harder. You must have many visitors from other worlds, Luke said, trying to sound casual. Zira gave a small smile. Sometimes, not many. You are special. You are the first human to come here. Luke nodded slowly. He wondered again about the human device. He thought about asking her directly, but stopped himself. He needed more information first. Zira stood up and said, Come, let me show you something beautiful. They walked through a quiet path behind her house. The trees there were taller, with glowing leaves. At the end of the path, a clear dome stood. Inside it, stars shined like tiny lights. Luke stepped in and gasped. The ceiling of the dome showed a map of the stars, but it also had small lights moving in lines. This is our sky room, Zira said. It shows the stars we know and the paths between them. Luke watched carefully. Some of the paths were marked with names. One name caught his eye. It was the name of a human space station, one that was destroyed many years ago in deep space. He knew that name. It was not possible for Zira's people to know it unless they had been there. This is amazing, Luke said, hiding his surprise. How do you know so much about the stars? Zira smiled but didn't answer right away. We have studied them for many generations, she said simply. Luke wanted to ask more, but he stayed quiet. He now felt sure that Zira and her people knew more about humans than they said. The human device, the strange story changes, and now the star map, it all meant something. Later that night, after Zira went to rest, Luke quietly left his room. He moved through the house without making a sound. He went back to the library. The lights turned on slowly as he stepped inside. He found the shelf with the strange human device. He picked it up and turned it on. The screen lit up with English words. It was a report written by a human researcher. The date was from 10 years ago. Luke read quickly. It talked about first contact with an unknown alien species. It matched the time the space station disappeared. As he scrolled down, Luke found pictures of other missing humans. Their names were listed. Luke felt a chill run through him. These were people who vanished during deep space missions. They were never found. Suddenly, Luke heard a soft sound behind him. He turned fast. Zira stood there, her eyes calm but unreadable. You should not be here, she said softly. Luke didn't know what to say. He held the device tightly. Zira walked closer. I see now that you are different. You are curious, more than most. Why do you have this? Luke asked quietly. Who were those people? Zira looked at the device, then back at Luke. We do not harm. We collect. We study. Long ago, our leaders chose this path. We invite beings here. We learn from them. Luke stepped back. Did they agree to stay? Did they ever leave? Zira didn't answer. She looked sad. I cannot change the past, Luke. But I wanted you to be different. I hoped you would see the beauty in our ways. Luke felt anger and fear rising in him. He had trusted Zira. He thought she was kind. Maybe she still was. But something dark lived beneath the surface of this beautiful world. I need to go, he said firmly. Zira looked at him with deep sorrow in her eyes. I cannot let you leave. But I also do not want to hurt you. They stood in silence. The soft light of the library glowed around them. Luke's heart beat fast. He knew now that he had to find a way out. He had to return home and tell the truth. But first, he had to escape Zira's home and the world that suddenly didn't seem so peaceful anymore. Luke stood frozen, holding the device in his hand. Zira watched him without moving. The soft light in the library made her look gentle, but her words still echoed in his mind. She had said she could not let him leave. Luke felt a cold fear in his chest. What happens now? He asked quietly. Zira looked away. You have seen what was not meant for you. I am sorry, Luke. Luke put the device back on the shelf, slowly and carefully. He knew he had to stay calm. Zira, I came here in peace. I trusted you. I believed everything you said. I know, Zira said, her voice soft, and I did not want to lie to you. But some things are hidden for a reason. Luke walked past her, not running, just walking. He hoped she would not stop him. She didn't. He reached the guest room and closed the door. He sat down on the bed and took deep breaths. He needed a plan. He looked at the small communication device the humans had given him before the mission. It was hidden in his bag. He turned it on. Nothing happened. No signal. He tried again. Still nothing. Zira had said he couldn't leave. Maybe the whole area was blocked. He opened the window slowly. The garden behind the house was dark and quiet. If he could reach the outer city, maybe the signal would return. Maybe someone would hear him. Luke waited until the house was silent. Then he climbed out the window and dropped softly to the ground. He moved slowly through the garden, trying not to make noise. The plants glowed slightly, lighting the path. He avoided them as best he could. When he reached the street, he looked around. The city looked different at night. It was quiet, but not empty. Small machines floated through the air. Lights moved above the rooftops. Luke stayed in the shadows. Walking quickly and carefully, he passed several buildings and reached a tall tower. He remembered seeing it earlier. It was a communication center. If he could get inside, he might find a way to send a message. The doors were locked. He searched around the side and found a service door. To his surprise, it was open. He slipped inside. The building was cold and quiet. Lights flickered on as he walked down the halls. He followed signs until he found a control room. The room had several screens and panels. Luke moved to one of them. He placed his device on the table and connected it to the system. He waited. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the screen lit up. A signal flashed green. Yes, he whispered. He typed a message quickly. He gave his location, a warning, and asked for help. He hit send. The device showed that the message had been sent. He felt a wave of relief. Then he heard footsteps. Luke turned fast. Zira stood at the door. She did not look angry. She looked sad. You should not have come here, she said. I had to, Luke replied. Your people are hiding the truth. You are not just peaceful collectors. You are keeping people here. Zira stepped into the room. It is more complicated than you know. We collect knowledge, yes, but we also protect it. Some of those who came here were lost. We gave them peace. They had no choice, Luke said. That's not peace. That's a cage. Zira looked down. I tried to protect you from this. I wanted you to like our world. I wanted you to see the beauty. I did see the beauty, Luke said. But I also see the truth now. Zira walked over to the screen. She looked at the message Luke had sent. Your people will come now. There will be questions. There may be anger. Then tell the truth, Luke said. It's the only way. Zira was quiet for a long time. Finally, she nodded slowly. Come, let us go back to my home. There's nothing more to hide. Luke followed her. He didn't know what would happen next. He didn't know if his message would be answered in time. But he felt stronger now. He had done what he came to do. He had found the truth. As they walked back through the quiet city, Zira stayed close to him. She said nothing more. Luke looked up at the sky. The stars were still there, bright and far away. Home felt far, but not lost. Whatever happened next, he would face it. And maybe, just maybe, there was still hope for peace between their worlds. Luke sat in Zira's home, watching the window as soft light filled the sky. Morning had come, but the peace he once felt was gone. His message had been sent, but there was still no answer. He didn't know how long it would take for help to arrive. He only knew that the truth was now out, and things would never be the same. Zira brought him a small bowl of warm soup. She placed it on the table in front of him and sat down across from him. Her face looked tired. Thank you, Luke said. Quietly, you are still my guest, Zira replied. Even if things have changed. They sat in silence for a while. Luke sipped the soup, thinking about all he had learned. He had come to Vexia with hope, with open eyes. Now he saw both the beauty and the danger of this world. He wanted to believe. There was still good in Zira. Why did you choose me? Luke asked. Zira looked at him, her eyes soft. You were young, open, honest. I thought maybe you would understand. Maybe you would help others understand. Luke nodded slowly. You should have told me the truth from the start. I know, she whispered, but our ways have been the same for many years. Change is not easy. Later that day, Zira took Luke outside the city. They walked along a quiet path through a forest. Of tall, glowing trees, Luke was surprised. Why are we going this way? There is something I want you to see, she said. They reached a large building hidden behind the trees. It was round and smooth, almost like a dome. Zira placed her hand on a small panel, and the door opened with a soft sound. Inside, the space was wide and quiet. Soft lights glowed on the walls. Luke followed her down a hall until they reached a large room. Inside were beds, chairs, and machines. A few aliens and humans were there. Some were resting. Some looked up as Luke walked in. One human, an older man, sat up and stared at him. You're human, the man said. His voice was weak but clear. Yes, Luke replied, walking closer. Who are you? Name's Carter. Eric Carter, the man said. I was on a mission 10 years ago. My ship went missing. Luke felt a shock in his chest. He remembered that name. Eric Carter was one of the people listed on the device in the library. They said you were gone. No one knew what happened. Eric gave a tired laugh. Now you know. Zira stood nearby, watching them. This is the care center, she said quietly. The ones who could not return stayed here. We care for them. Luke looked around. Some of the people looked peaceful. Others looked confused or lost. He saw kindness in the way the aliens moved and helped them. But he also saw sadness. These people had not chosen to stay. Why not send them home? Luke asked. Some were too weak. Others had no way to return. And some forgot where they came from, Zira explained. We gave them peace. Luke looked back at Eric. The man smiled. You look strong. Maybe you can finish the story we started. Maybe you can bring the truth back. Luke nodded. I will try. They left the care center and walked back through the forest. Luke felt heavy inside. The truth was not simple. Zira had not lied out of hate. She had lied out of fear, maybe even love for her people. But it was still wrong. That night, Luke sat near the garden, thinking deeply. Zira sat beside him. I want to help you, she said. I know I have done things wrong, but I want to change. Luke looked at her. Then help me leave. Help me get home. Zira nodded slowly. There is a ship. It is hidden. I can take you there, but it is far and the path is not easy. I'm ready, Luke said. Zira looked into the sky. Then we leave tomorrow. We must be careful. My people will not want this. Luke nodded. He felt afraid but strong. He had come to this planet as a visitor. Now he would leave as someone who knew the truth. And maybe, with Zira's help, he could bring change to both their worlds. The night grew quiet. Stars filled the sky. Luke stared at them, thinking of home. He didn't know what would happen next, but he was ready. Tomorrow, the journey would begin. Early the next morning, Luke stood near the edge of the garden with a small bag over his shoulder. Zira was beside him, holding a map and a small round device in her hand. The air was cool, and the sky was still dark. Birds with soft voices sang from the trees. We must move before the city wakes, Zira whispered. The path is long, and others may try to stop us. Luke nodded. He was ready. His heart beat fast, but his mind was clear. He knew this was the only way. He trusted Zira now. Not fully, but enough to follow her. They left the garden and walked into the forest. The trees glowed faintly around them, lighting the path. Zira moved quickly and silently. Luke followed, watching every step. They passed rivers and hills. Strange animals peeked from behind trees, but made no sound. How far is the ship? Luke asked. It is hidden in the hills beyond the North Ridge, Zira answered. It was built many years ago in secret. Only a few know it is there. They walked for hours. The sun rose slowly, painting the sky with soft colors. Zira stopped at a small stream. We will rest here for a short time, she said. Luke sat on a rock and drank from his bottle. He looked at Zira. Do you think they will follow us? Zira looked down. Yes, if they know we are gone, they will send watchers. They will not want the ship used. Luke felt the weight of her words. This was not just a simple escape. It was a break from everything Zira's people had done for years. After a short rest, they continued. The land grew rough and the trees became fewer. They climbed rocky paths and crossed narrow bridges. Zira led the way with calm skill. By the time the sun was high, they reached the ridge. From the top, Luke could see far across the land. Hills, rivers, and forests spread out below. In the distance, hidden between rocks, was a silver shape. Is that the ship? Luke asked. Yes, Zira said. We are close. But this is where the risk is greatest. There may be guards. They moved down the slope carefully. As they got closer, Luke saw the ship more clearly. It was small, enough for 2 or 3 people. It looked old but strong. Vines and rocks hid most of it from view. Zira stopped suddenly and raised her hand. Luke froze. He heard a soft hum. Then from behind the rock, 2 Vexians stepped out. Their faces were calm, but their eyes were sharp. Zira, one of them said, you should not be here. Let us pass, Zira said. We mean no harm. You bring a human to the ship, the second one said. This is not our way. Luke stepped forward. I just want to go home, he said clearly. I am not your enemy. The first guard looked at Zira. You know what this means. If you help him, you turn against our law. Zira stood tall. Then I will break the law. It is time we stop hiding. The guards looked at each other. For a moment, there was silence. Then, slowly, they stepped aside. Go, the first one said, before others come. Luke and Zira hurried to the ship. Zira opened the panel and pressed a code. The door opened with a soft sound. Inside, the ship was clean and ready. You knew this would happen, Luke said as they entered. I hoped it wouldn't, Zira replied, but I was ready. Luke sat in the co-pilot seat. Zira took the pilot's seat and pressed buttons. Lights came on, and the ship began. The hum died outside. A loud alarm rang across the hills. More Vexians were coming. They know, Luke said. Then we must move fast, Zira answered. The ship lifted off the ground slowly, then rose faster. Trees bent below them as they flew higher. Luke looked back and saw a group of Vexians running toward the spot they had just left. "They're too late," he said. Zira nodded. "Yes, but this is only the beginning." Luke looked at her. "Will you come with me?" Zira didn't answer right away. She looked at the stars ahead. "I don't know if I belong in your world." "Maybe we both belong in a new one," Luke said. Zira gave a small smile. The ship flew higher, breaking through the clouds. The sky turned dark, and the stars opened up around them. Luke took a deep breath. They were leaving Vexia behind. He didn't know what waited for them, but he knew he was not alone. And that gave him hope.